Hello and welcome to another episode of Allot 360. Tell me, Antje, why does Allot think that there's actually a consumer cybersecurity market for communication service providers?
Well, let's look at the basics. Let's ask ourselves who is a consumer. Because when we talk about consumers, we usually think of families with kids, but the market is much more segmented. There are singles, there are young couples without children, there are elderly people, and they make up 16% of the consumer market. So the consumer market is very, very segmented and it's huge. And all the consumers have one thing in common. They are all targets of cybercrimes. In the best case, their devices get somehow infected, and these devices join a botnet, and then this is part of a DDoS attack on a large company or on critical infrastructure, but it doesn't really have an impact on the daily life of the consumer. In the worst case, consumers become victims of a phishing campaign, and their credentials and personal data gets exposed to the dark web. They might lose money, they might lose reputation, they might download spyware, ransomware, and then they lose a lot of money. So coming back to your question, taking this into consideration, the huge market and the increasing number of cybercrimes on consumers, definitely there is a business case for CSPs to address this and to monetize the situation.
Okay, so there's a need, and communication service providers could address that market. Does Allot have research that shows that there's a match there, that consumers want security from CSPs, that CSPs are able to provide it to the consumers?
Yes, there are loads of researchers, and they are usually divided into two fields. One is related to the amount of cybercrime and the categories. So there's always an increase of adware, and lately we see a huge increase in Android banking Trojans. So there's this part of research that is related to statistics, numbers of cybercrimes. To mention one is the crime report of the Internet Crime Report of the FBI, which is published once a year. And looking at this is amazing, because they talk about, only last year they talk about 7 billion loss for consumers due to cybercrime. And I promise you, when they release the next one, it's just going to be higher. And this is one field. The other one is related to consumer orientation. And this is research that Allot is doing, but also our competitors. So, by the way, Cisco published last year a very interesting survey on the changing consumer landscape, and their research, our research of other competitors, they indicate three things which are really interesting. One is that consumers, or the majority of consumers, are definitely aware of cybercrimes and the dangers involved in it. The second one is who is responsible, and the consumers are very clear about that. They say, CSP, you're providing the network, you give access to hackers to attack us via the network, so it is your responsibility to keep the pipeline clean. So about 60 to 70% of consumers are convinced that it's the responsibility of the CSP to provide a clean environment. Okay? Some think it's the responsibility of the device manufacturer, but the big majority is convinced it's the CSP responsibility. And the third thing is, and that is maybe the most important one, because they are aware of it, they are also willing to pay. They are willing to pay for cybersecurity, and depending on the region, it might be between $2 to $5 to $6 a month. So this is, again, it's a huge opportunity for CSP to be perceived as a carrier that cares for their subscribers and wants them to be secured, but also to make money at the same time.
So there's an opportunity, and there's a understanding and an awareness, but CSPs traditionally have offered endpoint solutions to the consumers. A host of third-party products that everybody is familiar with, and they can download them and install them. Isn't that already a good enough solution?
When it comes to endpoints, I have three words for you, Michael. Complicated, complicated, and very, very complicated. Did you ever try to install an antivirus application combined with parental controls?
Not easy.
It's not easy. If we talk about Android devices, so you have a very long installation flow, you have to give a lot of permissions, including highly sensitive permissions. You get strange messages, warnings, don't do it, don't continue. So at this stage, a lot of end users already drop. When you look at iOS devices, same story. The installation is maybe a little easier, but then the feature set is limited. So CSPs, yes, have been trying to sell endpoints for a very long time, for decades, but the adoption rate is very low. It's a product for premium users who have the technical know-how to install those applications, and also have the patience. But it's very difficult, and when we talk about the mass market, it is not a solution. And this is actually where Allot jumps in, because we offer network-based solutions, zero touch for the mass market. All the end user has to do is to say, yes, I want to be protected. Yes, give me the cybersecurity, and that's it. From this very moment on, all devices that the consumer has are going to be protected, and it's going to work on fixed, mobile, and converged networks. So this is like you can keep on selling endpoint solutions, but you have to be aware that you're only addressing the premium users. If you want to address the mass market, and most consumers belong to the mass market, then you have to go for a network-based solution, something that Allot is providing.
So I see the logic there. You mentioned earlier that CSPs should provide a clean pipe, and the network-based solution is just like the water company delivering clean water. So there is an opportunity, but let me ask you about 5G. I mean, there's a lot of talk about 5G being, by definition, a more secure network. Is there any impact that 5G has on Allot's vision of network-based security?
When it comes to 5G, as a consumer, there are like two thoughts I have in my mind that instantly pop up. One is speed and performance, which is great for everyone, and this is something that you're definitely going to get with 5G more than you have with 4G. And the second one is IoT, because that is one of the reasons why we will have or do already have 5G. There are going to be loads of smart devices. We even talk about concept of smart cities. Everything is going to be connected. And IoT is a serious issue when it comes to security. And since 5G supports IoT in a mass way, it's going to be very, very vulnerable for end users. And you know, they have so many devices at home, and someone has to protect them. And IoT devices have no security standard, and most IoT manufacturers couldn't care less about security. All they want to do is sell their devices, right? So for CSPs, when we talk about 5G and the ever-growing number of IoT devices that we will find in each household, it's a huge opportunity for them. They can sell security services to the subscribers. Subscribers are aware of the threats and they're willing to pay. So this is a win-win situation. So 5G has an impact on the consumer in terms of performance, in terms of devices they can add to their smart homes. And it has a huge impact on CSPs because they, again, can monetize the service. And they should be aware of not only to sell security, but how to sell security, because it should be part of their core offering. Because if they don't sell it together with the data packages, it's like, following one of your examples, it's like selling a house to someone where you can live conveniently, you can watch TV, you can take showers, but you don't have a door. So everyone can go in and and you're very vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So if a CSP with 5G is not putting cybersecurity on their core offerings, they miss an opportunity to make a lot of money.
Okay, that's a great analogy. The CSP is really the doorkeeper to the internet, and it is their responsibility to put that door in place and protect their customer base. Thank you very much, Antje, and thank you all for joining me. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Allot 360.